G'day and welcome to David Joshua Ford Live, episode 31. This is actually in the New York studio. I'm back in New York. What you're watching there in the pre-roll was a, hang on, let me just check here. Make sure we have camera sound. I think we do have camera sound coming in. We should have camera sound. I'm getting notifications from YoloBox Pro here. Looks good to me. You should be able to hear me. I had a little pop-up there saying no camera sound. But what you're watching there in the pre-roll was the show that I was trying to bring you last week from a hotel room near LAX, and I went out for a bike ride in the morning with my iPhone, was doing that pre-roll that you saw. And one of the great things about YoloBox Pro that I'm enjoying is that the SD card that is in the bottom of this, you can actually just pop that out, pop it in a laptop or something like that. So I was able to take my phone video and just dump that straight onto the YoloBox Pro, and then I have a pre-roll video that I can put up and use as like a countdown type thing. And then the overlays that you saw there, they were from the YoloBox Pro itself. So the problem I had last week was that I was near LAX and I was using this Sennheiser G4 film lavalier microphone, which is probably around about $800 for this one. It's really good quality. It's what I use on all of my productions for interviews and that kind of thing. But for whatever reason, the radio frequency in that area near LAX was interfering a lot with this microphone, and I did not have the time to reset it. And because it just had a very short amount of time, so I didn't have time to like troubleshoot it before the show, and I had to just cancel the show. So sorry to you guys who were tuning in there, and then I was like, sorry, I'm out. But it got me thinking that for when I'm traveling, I'm often wanting to go to the YoloBox Pro, which is over here, and we can talk through that in a little bit and what the settings are here. And one of the challenges is just trying to like minimize the amount of stuff that I'm carrying, particularly going through airports and that kind of stuff. So my backpack, which I've shown you before, is this Peak Design one, which I really like this because it's got you can turn it sideways and put that through for like a roller wheel going through the airport. I've got the Peak Design tripod, which is the carbon fiber one, which is lightweight. So it means if I go on a shoot or travel and I don't use it, then I'm not carrying all the weight. So that's my tripod. And then in the bag, which you can open up from the side, you can see in here. So I'm trying to fit everything in here. Hopefully this doesn't roll out. We'll see how we go. So I will actually put the YoloBox Pro in this slip down the bottom, and then I have my headphones for airplanes and just general day-to-day use. And then I have my R5C camera, which is what I'd be setting up to do a live stream when I'm out. Let's put that down safely, out on location. And that's my kind of like YoloBox live streaming to go. The challenge is the audio part of it. What I was trying to do was use this wireless lapel, which ends up being a fair amount of extra space to carry in the luggage. And that would be plugging into, no, I do have an XLR piece, which I've shown you on previous channels, but for this, I was just using the 3.5mm into the camera, so it's all synced and that kind of stuff. And with the radio dropout on this, that was a problem. So it got me thinking, how are we going to go about doing YoloBox Pro audio on the go? So it's this kind of thing where I have, at the moment, I'm just running this off battery and Wi-Fi. What you've got is my studio cameras that are coming in here into HDMI 1, and I can cut down here with my Stream Deck. So all of my program from the studio is coming into HDMI 1, as well as my audio. So all of that is coming into this YoloBox Pro. So that's kind of nice when you're on the go and you just want to have live streaming. One of the main things I've found with live streaming is like having a setup that you can repeat over and over and over again. The more you have to build something from scratch, the longer it takes, and then the barrier to entry just increases. So you don't want to do a live stream, or you just like don't have enough time to do a live stream. So the good thing about the YoloBox Pro on the go means that all of these settings have been preloaded, and so I can start a new show. Like today, I'm running short on time, but I was able to come into the studio, patch in my cameras. So I'm using like a PTZ up here, and then I'm also using a PTZ from this camera here. And that's coming through the ATEM Extreme, which I do have back, which is still not working, and that's another show for another day. But then that is coming into the YoloBox. If I was out on the road, that's where the R5C would be doing the heavy lifting there, and I'd be running a battery into that so that it's powered and using the HDMI out straight into the YoloBox. But that still means we need some audio. So I was looking for some very sort of just small, it's not even so much about the cost, it's more about the compact travel form factor of it. I was actually traveling with a Blue Yeti microphone because I had some voiceovers to record while I was away. So there was that whole thing, and I guess I probably, now that I think about it, probably could have used that for the live stream. But I generally, I mean, I do video production more than I do like podcasting and that kind of stuff. So I generally don't like the look of like a giant microphone being up in here and taking up the space. So what I actually have today, and which we can compare with, is this is a Sennheiser 416 microphone, which is my standard kind of interview shotgun microphone. That's what I usually use in the studio, unless I'm using the G4 lavalier if I'm like running around the studio or something like that. But generally that's what I'm using. As you can see, I probably have stuck with Sennheiser, and in the comments, sorry, in the description below, there is a list of, sorry, I was reading the comments here. We're good. Yeah, so I have, in the description under the video, that's where you'll see all of the microphones listed out that I'm going to talk about today, this stash here. And there's quite a few Sennheiser microphones in there. I've just been using them throughout my career. It's been something where I've used the G2 and then the G3, and now I've got the G4 for wireless lavs. I do have some wired Countryman B3 lavs, which are great too. Wired lavs are just great. So one of the things about wired lavs is you don't have to worry about radio interference and batteries and all that kind of stuff. So it means that as long as you are operating sort of this distance from the YoloBox Pro, you can just plug it in and away you go. So let's get on to the main section of what we're going to talk about today, which is I went out to B&H and I bought some microphones. So this is not sponsored. I haven't received any of these products. This is my own money that I went out to test this with. And I picked a couple that I thought I would road test. And I've got a Holy Land one. I've got a Rode Lavalier Go, and then I've got two Sennheisers. I've got the XS USB-C, and then the Lavalier Mobile. I'll start with this one. Let me see if I can cut here. You can just put this in front. So what we have is the XS Lav Mobile. I was curious because this has a TRRS ring on it, and I just wanted to see if this would actually work in the YoloBox Pro. So this has a microphone input here. It also has a line input. I suspected that would be TRS, not TRRS, and I was correct. I plugged this one in, and there's no sound from it. So don't worry about this one. Don't waste your time on it. It's not a TRRS. I went out and checked, so we can put that one aside. Okay, next two. The two main ones that I was sort of going between was the Rode Lavalier Go, which is I think around $40 or something, and the Holy Land. It doesn't actually have I think it's one that comes with the Lark wireless one, but you can just buy the Lavalier separately. These are TRS rings, so these just have let me cut to here. These just have the three tips, so the tip ring sleeve, that kind of thing. The Holy Land, let's open this one up, is really just the box, and it's just the Lavalier. It's got a spare, what do you call it, windshield. And it's got the clip, and I didn't like this padding as much. This padding is just kind of, it's once you get it off, it's a little bit difficult to get on, and I felt like I was going to tear the fabric once I was trying to get it back on. So that was not as good as the Rode. So the Rode comes with, I threw that away. One thing I do like about the Rode, which is not a huge point, but it's got a little pouch, and for traveling, that's the sort of thing where I want to be able to organize these things. The Rode one has a smaller head microphone on it, and the pop filter has a little bit of rubber at the bottom of it, so it's easier to get on and off. Here you'll see this little bit of rubber at the bottom. It just means that it's easier to slide on and off. I mean, once it's on, you're probably just going to leave it on, and you're done with it. So, all right, so let's plug these in, and we'll see how we go. Let me know in the comments if we drop out on audio, because this is going to be starting to play with audio inputs during a live show. I'm going to start with the Rode. Just get this one over here. So I'm just plugging this one into here. Pop that one in. Okay. I'm going to turn on my monitor. I have found with the HoloLand, you can't monitor this on and off. There's a bit of a bug there that needs fixing, but you can slide that up. And now I'm hearing my voice, which is going to get me a little bit disorientated. Okay, so we've got local video and then the mic coming in. So I'm going to mute my, where are we? Okay, so I've turned off, this is probably upside down, but I'll just hold this here. Let's flip this around so you can see. I'm just going to hold it here. I'm not going to actually clip it on. But I have turned off my shotgun microphone, and we're now going straight into the YoloBox Pro. You can see all my channels here. I've got program. I've turned off audio follows video. I've got my monitoring on. Looks like I had some recording going on there. Okay, so local video one is that video clip that we were playing at the beginning, and I had muted that. And then mic in is this line. Now under audio mixer up here, no, sorry, over here, you can actually set the audio gain cap. By default, it's set to 10, but you can boost that up to, I do find this interface a little bit funky. Okay, 30 decibel. Okay, so we can move that up, and then down the bottom, mic in. Now, what I noticed in my testing was that by default, and you can't change this, is that YoloBox Pro has a noise gate on the mic input. So it's good if it works and hits the spot, but what I found with these lavaliers, and maybe you can hear this now as I'm speaking, is that it's a bit quieter. So at 0 dB gain is what I'm at now. It's actually too low, I think. Tell me what you think. And yeah, I see Eric saying add some boost to the mic and a very low level right now. And so this is my point exactly in the testing, which was, if I'll cut back over here so you can see it. If I go up and boost this microphone, it's about 15 dB there, a bit better. And then at 30 dB, that's probably not a bad level. I'm talking pretty, good level here. We're getting slightly into the yellow, but still in the green. And the main thing I'm going to do is, as I stop speaking, see if you can hear the noise gate cutting in and out. So if I just do a bit of like rustling noise. And so what I was finding as I was testing out on the street yesterday, and I can't quite hear in this monitor because it's not good enough for me to hear what's going on, but maybe you can hear that what I was hearing was my voice came through well, and it did a fairly good job of cutting the noise floor when I was at, let's just reset this, like 0 dB, and it would cut, the noise gate would cut out any sort of extraneous sound. And if I boost up to 30, that's bringing the whole noise floor up, and it meant that the gate was kind of like opening, closing, and that kind of annoyed me. All right, I'm going to unplug the Rode, and we're going to plug in the HoloLand. So this is a little bit cheaper, and I'll plug this one. I'll actually clip this one on so I'm not moving this around. All right, pull this one out. All right, so it has popped it back in. By default, it's gone back to the mic in line is still at 30 dB. And I'm going to go back to 0 dB so you can hear what's going on here. It's very finicky. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. All right, so 0 dB, to my ear, this sounded very similar to the Rode, and also just very similar. I didn't see a huge amount of difference between them. It's probably only noticeable if you see side-by-side tests, but when I was doing a side-by-side test yesterday, I felt like the Rode was a little more sensitive. So it meant in this scenario that at 0 dB, I was getting a little more pickup from the Rode than there was from the HoloLens. So if I was going to do this one, I would just go with the Rode, just because it's like marginally more pickup on it in terms of the gain. But in terms of audio quality, you know, these are sort of microphones that we're using in a pinch. They're not like amazing quality microphones. I wanted this so that if I ever want to do a live stream in LA again and my microphones are playing up on me, I have something that I can plug in. All right, so by contrast, let's jump back over to the Sennheiser 416 shotgun. Hopefully I set this up properly. So this is going into the mixer, which is a Zoom LiveJack L8, and then it's going into the Blackmagic, which has some Fairlight processing on it, just a little bit of voice EQ, and I think a little bit of a gate. But if we compare this, I'm going to turn off the HoloLens and back onto the Sennheiser 416. Okay, and now we're back on what my normal program audio would be, and I'm hearing that still come through my ear, which is very disorientating. I'm going to turn this monitor off. Okay, that's better. So what do you think? What do you think is the difference between those two? So a year ago, I actually bought another microphone that I was kind of like curious in checking out, and I actually returned it and didn't really look into it. But during this test, I figured I would buy it again. And so that happens to be the XS, no, not that one. This one, the XS Lav USB-C Sennheiser. So what this one is, if I can get this in the right place, is essentially the same as the other one. Let me pull this one back. Okay, so remember I showed you this one, which had the TRRS on it. Well, there is a very similar, basically the same microphone with a different connection that you can get, which is the XS USB-C, and it has a USB-C connection. Throw that one away. And essentially what it is a USB-C microphone. So it's kind of like getting a Yeti with a lot worse microphone diaphragm and plugging that in via USB. And I just figured I would test that one out. Sennheiser also comes with, again, open this one up. Stuff everywhere around here. Sennheiser also comes with a little pouch, which is always fun. Again, not like a deciding factor. So this one is slightly longer too, which is actually, I think, a really good length. I'm not sure what that is. If I double it over, it's basically that long. So these other lavaliers that we were looking at, they're probably more for like going into like the Rode Wireless Go, you know, those little wireless ones. And so it means that the length of that needs to go from here down to like your hip where it will sit. And so it's a shorter cable. To use that one, I would probably have to get an extension cable, kind of like what I'm doing with my, I've got an in-ear monitor here, which is going into the headphones out port here, and that needs an extension cable. So I'd do something like that. But this USB-C one, I was curious because I figured there are times when I'm using like a like on a Zoom call, like, you know, when you're on a web call all day long, and my Apple AirPods are sort of starting to die with the battery, and I figured there might be times I just want like a lav that is going to get a bit closer sound. Actually, I also did a test with the Apple AirPod Pros, recording that microphone against the just the MacBook in speaker microphone pickup array, and it was insanely different. The microphones in the AirPods were terrible in comparison to the MacBook, just like default speaker range. pickup. So that was sort of interesting to look at. So anyway, let's compare this one now. So what I've got with this Sennheiser XS USB-C lav is it obviously goes into the USB-C port. So there's one here. If I plug this in, you'll see a pop-up saying, nope. Oh, before it said it couldn't mix it. But it's got a USB-C audio is down here. I'm just gonna unplug this one. That one's dropped out now. So I'm gonna get the Rode and the Sennheiser out. And so essentially I've got my USB audio that is plugged in here and it is off. I'm just gonna get this set. So we get microphone number 3 in here. Here we go. So what I like about this length is that I don't need any adapter. I think this is a good length to go from the YoloBox Pro sitting here to wherever I'm sitting for a live stream. And so now let's cut back to here and you'll see I've got USB audio and I'm going to turn off my HDMI 1 Sennheiser 416 shotgun. I'm going to turn on the USB audio there. I'm also going to turn on my monitor so I can hear, make sure everything's going good. Okay, audio is coming through. I don't know about you on your end, but what I noticed was, first of all, the gain level is much higher. So at 0 dB, the USB microphone is just got a lot more oomph in it. And as I push it up to 30 dB, it's too much and it starts to distort. So from a general like line level, I felt like this was much better. And then also from, just make sure everything's set. Yep. And then also just from like a mixing point of view, it doesn't have the gate. So you'll probably hear, it's like, I mean, I'm in the studio, so it shouldn't be too bad, but there is a sort of air vent further back which is blowing. So I'm just gonna pause for a second, see if we can hear it. Probably hear me swallowing. So anyway, what do you think between those microphones? Hopefully the 416, as we go back here, hopefully this one is the winner because that is the studio mic that I use. And let me know what you think of that one. But then compare this one, which is the Sennheiser XS USB audio against the Sennheiser 416 shotgun microphone, which has a little bit more delay on it, I think, because it's being processed through all of that. Actually, I haven't even looked at that yet in terms of like adding in delay, but you can do that on your USB audio. You can add in delay to match the picture because, as you probably know, as you put a microphone the audio is gonna come in much faster than video, which has to be processed through HDMI. So you need to slow down the audio. But this is a Sennheiser 416. What do you reckon? Is it good? Tell me, Eric. Eric says the USB-C mic level is higher. It's cranking out the sound. I'm hearing more sound floor self-noise compared to the Rode or the HoloLens. Sennheiser 416. No noise, clean, 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 and strong signal. Yes, so always, if I can, I'm going to be using the Sennheiser 416 because it's just, I mean, that's a $1,000 microphone for a reason, which is, you know, it cuts out a lot of noise, it focuses the voice, it's got a great pickup, has a great sort of dynamic range of the pickup of the voice. So what do you think though between them? So this is more of like, this is a microphone in a pinch, like I need an easy setup because I really do believe in like the barrier to entry. So if you have a ton of stuff that always needs to be set up for a live stream, then you're just not going to do it as much because people have a lot of stuff to do in life, you know. I even find like the reason I've been able to live stream almost every week this year is because of having a studio. All right. I think we're back. So thanks for the call out on the internet there. I had, I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. All right. So one of the other things, so I haven't had time to fully set up the studio yet, and I haven't had time to run an Ethernet cable from this end into here. So I was like, I have a dedicated Wi-Fi network. I'm gonna, use this Wi-Fi, and because I really want to test the YoloBox Pro's Wi-Fi. But you remember from before LA, there was also Tarrytown, and there was Florida, which I'll show you some footage from in another live stream, where the internet dropped out, and some of it was just like shitty hotel Wi-Fi, and then some of it was like the hotel pop-ups where you have to authenticate, and I think the YoloBox Pro didn't handle that. But this one right here should be fine. It shouldn't have this problem. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if that was my router or the building's network or something. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi thing. I'm not sure what that dropout was there. But let's have a look at some comments. Scrolling back, I'm a long way. Good to have Somi here. And Yugi was asking about, was I biking and live streaming, which I explained at the beginning was a pre-recorded pre-roll. All right, so let's take a look at, he was saying how to make this countdown timer. So the way I was making the countdown timer was, I have some overlays here. So I'll walk you through that. I might turn on my monitoring, otherwise I might be sending out some weird things. Okay, I'm going to turn down a bit, just so it's low down there. I can hear slightly what's going on. So I have a David Joshua 4 in New York overlay that will come up here, and there's after 7 seconds it'll just go away. I'm also on Instagram. If you want to go follow me on Instagram, do that, and hopefully we can have some vertical live streaming coming up at some point. But then what I have is these two. These are going to play music, so I need to be careful with this. But I have so if I turn them off, if I turned on the title first, is whatever the latest graphic that you've turned on is going to be. When I turn this on, just for aesthetics, I'm hitting this. And whereas this one would stay up until I change it. So if I press and hold on this, first of all, if you're not familiar with YoloBox, you would go down here and you would create an image overlay, and that's how you would create an initial one. But because I have already created this one, I'm just going to go in and edit it. So I would go like this, and then you can basically set your text and your font, transparency, and you can move it around. I'm not going to touch it because it's in its spot. And I'm just going to put this microphone over here. And all the way down to duration, which you can't quite see because it's behind this little thing. Oh, you can see duration down there. It's hiding behind Los Angeles. But if I click on that, I can set the timer. And so I've got that. And I've set my name, which is really just like an Android thing. You can sort of type in whatever it is and go done, and then I've got my graphic here. And then in my countdown, I'm going to go in and edit that. So what I've got is some background music, and it would be great if YoloBox, if you guys are listening, that you could select multiple tracks, because I've got some tracks that I use with usually I'm playing them in via VLC into the ATEM, and it's sort of going through a playlist there. But with this one, with the YoloBox Pro, you can only select one track. So I actually took these tracks and I've just created a mix of that. So they just play one back to back. And it says I have a compilation here. So I've selected that as the audio file. So this is going to be playing audio while this graphic is going. And then I've changed the text to starting in, or whatever you want to call it. You can set your font, color, timer, all that kind of stuff, dimming, scale, and you can move that around like we saw on the other one. Hopefully that's in the right spot. I had that set before. See, so this is a bit of a guessing game of moving back, maybe there. Done. Let's check this out. This is where I then have my, I'm just going to remove this one so you can see. You can delete that video source. You go add video source. This is the way I'm creating the opener, which is have the local video, have a couple of here. I actually did export it to H.264 because I had one that I'd copied over in H.265, and I feel like the HEVC codec did something weird to the colors. Like it wasn't the right color profile in the YoloBox Pro, so I actually exported it to like H.264, which would be like a Rec 709. So maybe that's something for YoloBox to look at in terms of being able to correctly match the color profile from H.265 footage. But anyway, I selected this one and go done. And that basically puts in this local video, which when I tap it, it will play it. And over under settings down here, under SD card video switching settings, you can choose how you want this video file to be handled. So I want it so that it's going to pause when I switch. If I wanted to find a spot in the video, I really do wish YoloBox would create like a video playback thing. I kind of want more of like a video playback source, and then you could put a bunch of different clips in there and then push a clip into the playback. It's okay for what it is. I think you're limited to like 2 clips, which is enough for maybe like an intro video and then something to look at. But it'd be kind of nicer to have a whole playlist that you could just like push it in and then remember the settings, because at the moment I can't actually scrub through this video. So it's an 8-minute video. If I wanted to start 1 minute in, I would have to play it through for a minute and then switch away so that it would pause like you saw on this one. So that's not ideal. I would love to be able to, edit this here. Okay, so that's the way I've got that one. And now in the audio mixer, I've got double checked my local video here, this audio file. I want to make sure that that is off. Otherwise, you're going to get the audio, which is mostly has like a lot of wind and stuff like that in it. So that's not as ideal. So we turn that off. This one should be all good. Okay, so then to play the, so when I get my show up and running, and what I was saying before too was about like adding a video source. What I love is that from this SD card, and I'll show you this in another week, but I had like, drone shots going around Sanibel Island in Florida and some drone shots in Tarrytown. And it was just an easy way to get some visuals of where I was and then dump that video. So you record it as one take and then you like dump it into the SD card and then play it out. And so it's like one take and you get this like, drone shot flying around. And I like that. And I want to do that more. I just had internet problems in those last shows. So that was what was going on there. Yugi says, generating graphic from the device has made things easier. Yeah, it's much easier having that basic functionality within the YoloBox rather than having to sort of attach another device to feed that into an HDMI for sure. Yeah. Okay, so let's just finish up with, I'll show you how I play this out. So on my Stream Deck down here, I basically have some camera presets. So this is moving away from YoloBox, but I've got a PTZ camera that I'm looking at, which has an auto prompter with a program view in it, so I can make sure that I'm pushing the right thing. And I would start on a wide. So I would start here, And then on my YoloBox Pro, what I'm doing is I'm setting up, I'm basically going 1, 2, 3. So I'm going. Okay, now I'm rolling. Interesting. What did I do there? So that by default, I didn't do that, but in the mixing of it, it turned off the HDMI 1, so it cut my voice. That's why I have the monitor on, so I can notice if it's dropped out or not. I don't know why it should do that. I have audio follows video off, so I feel like it's a bit of a bug. We should be having. It's interesting too because the music you're hearing, there's no mixing for it. It's just like playing it in. So I can't adjust the level. So it'd be great if YoloBox could add in a graphics level because you probably need to be able to pull it down. Otherwise you've got to export it at a certain volume. Anyway, so that's how I've got that going. And then what I've got to do is when this countdown, so actually I'll come up here. You've got to watch your timing. So I have a 8-minute, 40-second video clip that's playing. If it gets to the end of that, it's going to loop and it's going to start again. I don't want to do that. So that's where under my settings here, I've set this to around about 8:15 on the timer, and then also this graphic with the name that has the same timer on there. So what will happen, we don't have time to do this, but these two graphics will basically, when they get to the end, they're going to turn themselves off, and then it'll just be the video playing, which is this one. And that's where in the studio, and you can't quite see it because I don't have it set up today, but I have a preset button. So I would trigger my camera move in, say hi, g'day, welcome. And after I've started this camera move, that's where I'm coming back to here, and I'm basically clicking from the local video over to what you see in the studio there. So that's how I'm sort of setting up the show via a YoloBox Pro. I do have the cameras routed through the ATEM today, but it's just more of a switcher today rather than an encoder. The YoloBox Pro is actually doing all of the graphics and the music and the audio with a little bit of help from friends. Friends being PTZ Cameras, Companion, and the ATEM. All right, let's have a look through some more comments. Thanks for the comments, guys. Hopefully that you could do that help. Hopefully that makes sense in terms of how you would run the countdown timer. And there's a couple of other templates that you can use in there. Gay Jules. And what else we got? Eric, great to have you here as always. Okay. Yugi asking all the good questions. Are you going to demo the green screen as well? Would love to see that. I actually have not done this. So we could give it a go. We could try together. What I'm going to do is, so to show you this properly, I'd probably need to have my two cameras plugged into HDMI 1 and 2. At the moment, they're going by the HM into 1, so I can't show you what I'm doing on screen. Other than, I guess I could pull a bit wide. Maybe we can cut out the color this way, and I can turn it that way, and you can sort of see what I'm doing, and I'll move forward a bit. Okay, so what you can do is on this green screen source here, HDMI 1, is you can tap on this little profile button there, and you can turn on keying switch. So we can turn that on, and I mean, by default, it's probably done a pretty good job. That was pretty easy. Obviously choosing green because we are on green. Similarity, we can just adjust, find the edge. So if you push it too far, obviously I've gone off. So we want to find, see this is not a perfectly lit green screen, by the way. This is like, because it's mostly coming from above, just because of the space in here, there's a gradient across it. So ideally there would be like two lights here that's giving a more even spread. So you can see this with the green screen. As it comes in, it's pulling out a certain type of color. and then we can take the smoothness and try and cut that out a bit. So it's not going to be perfect. Where are we? It's going to have a few funny edges. There's going to be a bit of, down here, the green is sheening off this metal surface here. But I think from what I can see, it's a pretty small screen. The hair isn't perfect, like the edges around there are not perfect either. So this is where it's important to have a good quality light distribution across your green screen. And the more that you can set yourself away from the green screen means that you're going to get less spill from the green coming back onto the edges of like the shoulders and surfaces there. Now, background image, we do have a photo. How about we put up, which one can we do? We will do, if we get maybe this one, Sanibel Island. How about that? Beautiful. Okay, let's just go done. And now we have a bit of studio with the background being Florida. I don't know, what do you reckon? That wasn't too hard. That's kind of fun to have that in a pinch. I think that's pretty foolproof. The hardest thing is going to be getting your green screen lighting working. As I said, there's no sort of half set up in here. Yeah, so that's pretty fun. Let's go back to a wide shot and see what we look like. Oh yeah, kind of looks like a backdrop at an expo. And you put like some window edges around it and make it look more like a window out. That could be fun. All right. What else we got? I'm just going to turn this so I can see what I'm going through. Hopefully that worked. Hang on, I'm just going to scroll through my notes. Job. Okay. All right, so back on the audio. So I'm catching up on the comments here. Jules likes my shirt. Thank you. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty cheap. I don't even know where it's from. But I do like collared sheets when I'm doing Lavalier demos. Actually, I've still got this stuff on. I can probably take that off now. Just because they're much easier to clip onto. I'll pull this microphone USB-C out. Put them all over there in the corner. And I'm just going to double check my audio settings. Program, monitor, HDMI 1. Yes, cool. All right. And yeah, Eric says with the microphone 30 decibel is not clipping at all. Holyland seems less noisy at 30 decibel boost and level is good. Eric also says that both Rode and Holyland needed the full 30 decibel to get a good strong level on the YouTube stream. Yeah, I think my concern with the Holyland and the Rode, I don't know if this is just the preamp in the YoloBox Pro, like it might not actually be anything to do with those lapels in and of themselves. They're probably just like what you would normally have. But maybe the preamp, like the level in the YoloBox Pro in terms of how it takes that signal and processes it, is probably a bit lower than it should be. I don't know if that's something that can be adjusted with firmware updates or if that's just kind of hardware and that's the way it is. But my concern would be that there's really no headroom. Like if you're pushing it to plus 30 decibel of gain and you're only just sort of getting there, then you don't have that extra sort of 6 dB or something if you need to write it up in a certain situation, which is where I feel like the USB-C mic was, I don't know, in my initial listening was like, okay, I feel like I've got some room to play with here. It's a little more manual in the sense I don't have to worry about managing a gate. But the reason you were hearing the Holyland and the Rode being clearer through the 3.5 millimeter port is that the YoloBox Pro is applying some sort of audio processing and a gate to it, which is cutting out the background sound. Yeah, AirPod microphones, they're great, but like the funny thing with them is that you never really listen to them yourself. Like the person on the other end of the phone is listening to them. And if you hear the difference, it's crazy. I'm curious to see if the new AirPod Pros 2 or whatever that they've just released are any different in terms of the audio quality. I think the best thing about the audio, I'm trying to think, they're over there somewhere. I don't know where they are. The best thing about them, can't find them, somewhere in my studio, is Apple's handoff between the iPhone and the Mac is seamless. So I have some, I don't have it in here, some Sony. I used to have some Bose Quiet Comfort 25 years ago, and then I got a Sony MH4 something or other when I replaced it, and neither of those two in their Bluetooth are seamless in the way that they connect to the computer, just generally for daily use, whereas the AirPods are very, very seamless, so it's great. Yes, Eric says 416 is no noise, clean, strong signal, which is great. Also, we're running it through a soundboard, so hopefully it should be good. Jumping through comments, voice channel. Yes. Box accepts Yugi, if you're not familiar with the YoloBox Pro, essentially these are the inputs along the top. You've got 3 HDMI, you've got USB, which can either take a webcam or you can actually plug in a keyboard, which is kind of nice if you're trying to, type up text and that kind of stuff. It's got an Ethernet port, an HDMI out, which under your settings down here, you can actually set to output this sort of multi-view monitor, if you will, or if you check this box, it'll output program output. And then with the USB-C output, you can get that to feed back into the computer as a webcam, or as you saw, I plugged in my USB-C microphone, and then it's got headphones. It's got a mic in, which is a TRS from what I've discovered, and has some level of noise gate and processing applied to it. And then the line level, actually haven't tested that. And then the power, actually, which is a good point. One of my main gripes with the YoloBox, not gripes, I don't know, is they don't ship it with a power thing. I mean, I guess it's probably because they think, if I can get this one out. Sorry. A little project going on over here. This is just an Apple 10 watt. So you've got to bring your own adapter. And on the back of this, it's meant to be, from what it says, the input is 5 volt, 3 watt, or 9 volt, 2 amp is what I meant to say. 5 volt, 3 amp, 9 volt, 2 amp, or 12 volt, 1.5 amp. So essentially, this is an 18 watt unit, but I have not yet been able to find an adapter that will put 18 watts into it. So all of my adapters that I've got, USB-C or USB-A, so far, I plug it in and nothing happens, doesn't register anything. The only way I've been able to charge the YoloBox Pro is via a 2.4 amp 5 watt adapter, something like this Apple adapter here. So what I'm not sure, because I haven't fully tested this, but I feel like there must be times where you're pushing this thing to the max. Like you've got 3 HDMIs in, you've got like a webcam, and you've got processing, and you're recording, and you're outputting, you're doing graphics, and it must use a ton of power. And I feel like over the course of a day, it would deplete the battery such that it couldn't replace it fast enough from the screen. So I'm not sure if that is going to have enough power. So I really wish that they would ship it with an actual adapter that was rated for it. Also, it's just annoying because I've got so many power adapters and like none of them work. And so I was having to, when I was traveling, I actually had to charge this off my DJI drones USB port because all of my computer ones and all that kind of stuff, and the YoloBox didn't accept them. So that's been a bit of a bug for me. And also I feel like it doesn't click in very solidly into the PowerPoint. it can sort of come out. So it's, yeah, small thing, but you know. Eric likes the background. Thank you, appreciate. And Yugi, good to, whoop, this comment's disappearing. And yes, and Eric was saying that the smoothness rating of the green screen works for what we've got in here. Yugi, it's like a full-on YoloBox episode. Does it do picture-in-picture? It does. So again, if we go to, interesting. So I just cut to this, and you're going to see a little bit of weird, because it's still applying the green screen to this shot, but I cut the shot from on the ATEM. So if there's a bit of weird picture going on here, it's because it still has the green screen on it. So let's go to add video source down here, and there's your options here, multi-views. It's a bit different to the ATEM. I don't even know if I can't see what my picture's doing here. Did I cut back? I think I did. Yeah. It's a bit different to the ATEM. So the ATEM has more like a key, and then you choose sources and you tell the key, say, you know, take input 1 and do this to it, picture in picture up here. And then you can keep that format and layout, and you can just swap it out with different things. So just say you had an insert shot of a guest, and then you wanted to put a video in that box instead. You could just hit a button to change the source. That's what I've got on the Stream Deck here. With the YoloBox Pro, it works differently. You have to like create a setup, and then you click onto that scene, which is probably a little bit more like a OBS type scenario, where you're like so pre-building a scene and then you're cutting to it rather than changing elements within the scene. So if we go back over here, I'm going to add video source, scroll down to picture-in-picture video, and it's going to say these are the ones I have available. So I have an HDMI 1. Select the main screen. So the main screen is going to be, let's go to this one, excuse me. And then a sub-screen is going to be this video. And then I can move it around like this. I think, can I pinch? No, I can't pinch, but I can scale like that. And I can change the border color to white. And I can put it up there or something. And aspect ratio, I could change the aspect ratio. That's kind of fun. We can make a, let's just stick with the 16:9. Cool. Oh, and I did done. So now, and I'm curious to see what I've got in terms of my audio monitoring. Do I have, no, so I have local video off, HDMI on. So it hasn't added any additional audio monitoring. It's just added a picture. So now if I click on, well, I've already clicked on it. So there we go. I should be playing though. I feel like, here we go. Nope. I don't know why that's not playing. I would have thought that would play. Swap video. Yeah, I would have thought you'd be able to play the video. Let me just start this one again. Picture in picture, where are we? Picture in picture. Maybe I'll try it the other way around. Next, this one. And swap video, done. So now if I click, okay, so it's playing the video that way. Oh, I can't adjust the video. And then if I click over onto this one, it's paused the video. It's playing the video again, and it's the same video as being synced. So I could cut between like a full screen video or adding an insert like this. Let me just try that one more time. Delete the source. HDMI. Check my audio is all good. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna add source, picture-in-picture video, main screen, local video, move it around a bit. Swap video, okay. Swap video, no. Done, okay. Now, if I select it, it's not playing it. I don't know why that is. That's weird. Let me try, I would say, there's a bug, and we'll email Frank. Let me see if I can delete my local video. And I'm just gonna start from scratch, picture in picture. Needs at least 2 pictures. Okay, so I'm gonna add a local video, add the video. Okay, I've got my 2 videos. Go to my audio, make sure that's off. Add a video source, picture in picture, main screen, local video. Move it around down here and done. Okay, test. Nope, I don't know why it's not playing. So it seems like it was playing on when the playback video was full screen, but it wouldn't play back picture in picture, which I don't remember that being the case, but maybe that's a bug for YoloBox to look into. I'm not entirely sure. But hopefully that helps. Cool. All right, guys, I'm gonna probably wrap up there. I don't have any music to play out because otherwise I got to put up the screen again. Well, hopefully that was helpful. That was my trip to LA was what you were seeing there, Venice Beach and Santa Monica, that kind of thing. As I said, I was trying out different microphones, so now I've got a couple more microphones in my arsenal if I ever need audio in a pinch, because as I was saying at the beginning, like trying to get everything into a bag is important when you're going on an airline and just for general sanity. If you're trying to make live streaming fun and something that you can do on the go rather than something that's going to take like a huge amount of time to set up and will cut into your travels and your holidays in my case. And so in the next show, I'm going to go, I'll probably start with like Florida, because that was the other show that I didn't manage to get on air because of internet problems. And we can look at routers and internet connections. Seems like I had another problem today. So something to look at in terms of the Wi-Fi reliability of the YoloBox Pro. Maybe I'll plug in the Ethernet cable. But yeah, thanks for joining. And until next week, have a great week. Bye.